Part 4. Part 4 is mapping. I'm still on my way to pick up my seedlings. It's the same day. Why not pick 2 peppers with one hand? So mapping is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to be drawing a map of your garden space. Throughout the course of the winter, I draw a lot of different garden maps. So if it's easier for you to think of this as step 1, that's great too. I think it's more important to get your soil right and pick the things that you want to grow and have them ready to plant before you go ahead and actually get into the placement of things. So by this time, if you've been following the different steps, picking your space and getting your soil correct, picking your seeds and starting the tender ones inside if you want to, then hardening them off, which was the previous video, you're going to be at step 4 of mapping. This is deciding where you want everything to live. It's the fun one. Almost the most fun one. Planting is the most fun, let's be real. But mapping is pretty fun too, because I like to draw. Seed spacing is a thing. You'll see it on the back of a lot of seed packets. Depending on the company that you're using, it could be in a lot of different places. It might be just in the description, it could be in the picture, or it could be on the side flap of your seed packet. But somewhere it's gonna say space X amount of inches. Because I'm in North America, I'm using inches. Obviously, if you live somewhere different, it could say centimeters. But you're going to have a different amount of spacing between plants to encourage the best growth. It may or may not be accurate, and I guess that's a philosophical choice. I myself don't think that each tomato plant needs 4 whole spaces, like 4 whole feet of room. That seems like a lot of room to me. I think they're okay about 18 inches apart. Of course, you do need a little bit of space for airflow, but no, I don't think they need 4 whole feet between plants. That seems like a lot. So, I choose to plant things a little bit closer. If you're doing rows period, I guess, and you want to use the example of lettuce and carrot, I can kind of tell you what I'm talking about. If you were planting in a row and you wanted to do a lettuce and a carrot, those are really good options because carrots go down and lettuces go up, right? Lettuces do have a taproot, but a root plant and a shoot plant, like a leaf plant, they grow really well together. And the carrot would be kind of in the middle of the row, and then the lettuce would be on the side, either side. And that's a really good way to space out your plants. Have maybe 4 to 6 inches between your lettuces because they do get kind of bigger. But carrots, they only get maybe 2 inches maximum wide. So 2 inches to 4 inches between carrots is fine. That's a good amount. There are a lot of different tools you can get for spacing. There are wonderful grids that you can purchase that help you with your spacing as well. Those are great. I don't have one. I just kind of eyeball it because I'm not into perfection like that. Sometimes I plant in a straight line, but nature is not straight and neither am I. So I don't care. My broad beans are kind of in a straight line, which is nice. And it is very visually appealing. but it's usually more on the chaos side of things for my garden spaces. So when you are mapping everything out, the best place to start is your aisles and rows. No matter what shape you're planting, you're gonna need a walkway. So when you are building up your soil, it's best not to step on it. There's a lot of underground activity happening, things are being built, and when you step on it, you do compress your soil. And if you are trying to build the most healthful soil you can, it's not the best to step on it. So a simple garden path of rocks or wood chips or cardboard. If you want to use plastic, that'll work. Some place for you to stand is good. When you look at my videos, I have a 1 foot row and then a 3 foot aisle. That's a choice I made to have adequate room to kneel and also for a wheelbarrow or a wagon to go through. So when I made my garden map, I drew it in lines and I just kind of shaded in where the aisles were going to be, where I was going to be walking and kneeling and working. So I have 1 foot of garden space that's cleared and prepared and mulched. When you look at the bottom of a plant, it doesn't have a huge amount of that little crown portion where the root goes down and the plant goes up. It's not that big when you're looking at a plant. Even if it's a massive plant like a cabbage, that area where the root goes down is only like a couple inches wide. So I don't think more than a foot is really necessary, because foot being 12 inches, it does give me room to double or triple plant things if I wanted to. I also like to broadcast, which means just sprinkling. Like I said, you won't see very many straight lines in my garden or my farm. Okay. There's a couple people out here working. Gotta come pick up my kids. Okay. There they are. I don't know if you can see them. Those are the babies. All right. I'll get these in the car. There we go. Oh. Okay. There we are. All right. Garden mapping. Rusty trusty notebook. This is my final draft for 2024. It's staying pretty true to my drawing. There have been some changes. And that's okay. Things change. All right, so as we're looking at this, you'll see where I wrote what I was gonna plant, and then also in parentheses, something different. If this is your first year, do not feel the pressure to to clear everything out to plant something different. if you want to, you are welcome to. The different things that I wrote down are cool season crops and then summer, tender crops. Where a bean is a half hardy, so I'm calling it a tender. So I'm going to be clearing out the space where the radishes were, and a couple other things like the beets will be finishing up, and then I'm going to replace them with something different. But there's a couple, like broccoli. I don't know if that's going to be finished by the time I want to plant the beans. So those areas aren't going to change. So first up, I always do my springtime cool season map. And that's going to consist of all my roots and shoots, like I said, all the cool season stuff. There's broccoli in there, kohlrabi, beets, radishes, carrots, lettuce, oric, a bunch of other friends. And some of those are going to be finished on time for me to put in something different for summer. But some are not. There's a wicked hill right here, so I always wait a full 12 seconds before I go. Okay, we're good. Yes, so springtime stuff. The things that will still be there when I'm planting the beans, the squashes, the melons, the tomatoes, some flowers, some other stuff. I know what those plants are going to be just because I've been doing this for a while. For your first ever season, I would recommend not trying too hard, excuse me, to plant in succession of things. If you want to and you're feeling ambitious, I could do another video on that. But for now, your garden map, make one for spring, and then for summer, when you're planting your tender things, you're going to be kind of going from your last frost date. So depending on where you live, you'll be harvesting your spring stuff and getting ready for your summer stuff to be planted right around your last frost date. And if you have harvested all the carrots and you have available space, of course, put something in there. The other reason mapping is important is so that you don't lose things. Yeah. I've had seasons where I am like, I could have sworn I planted some King Tut's purple peas. Why don't I see any purple peas? And I realized that I never planted them. I tucked in some spare broccoli plants where I wanted to put them. So, mapping helps to keep you organized, as well as little garden stakes, little labels. Those are really good to also help you to remember where you wanted to put things. Catherine and I were planting those stakes, the labels, the garden tags for her flowers the other day. She was marking out where she wanted all of them. And we were talking about the different heights of the flowers and how she wanted the row to look, which flowers she was most interested in. And we just popped in the tags where we thought we might want them. It's a really good way to kind of visualize what something might look like. So, mapping, very good. You should do it. Stay organized. But along with that, do get some plant tags. You can get popsicle sticks. I have found that those kind of wash out during the course of the summer. Same deal with the plastic ones. The rain all the time and the sun kind of degrades the Sharpie, so It's not the best. You can use wooden ones. I have some very cute ones that a friend gave me. They do kind of wash out over time. But if you are feeling crafty, you can get yourself some clay and make little garden rocks, or paint little garden rocks. If you're using clay and you want to etch it in there, those are like permanent. They will never fade. It's really nice. That would be a good one. It's a nice Saturday afternoon project. But plant tags are going to help you to stay organized. So I would recommend that you use some kind of marker in your garden or your farm if you're doing it on a small scale. If you're going row by row and you don't think you'll need it, that's cool. But I still like to do it so that I don't forget. Because with everything going on during your early part of your season, it's very easy to forget. So there we have it. Step number 4 is mapping. Now I've got my little plant children. I'm gonna go back home, and we are coming up on step 5, which is planting. And if you are getting close to planting, this is a sneak preview trick / tip. Take your tomato plant and turn it sideways. When you pick it up, turn it sideways and set it back down. I will show you what I mean in just a second if I hit a red light. So when you take your tomato, turn it sideways, the plant is going to be sticking out the side. Tomato plants have this wonderful ability to just turn up, right? And they have all of these fantastic little hairs along their stem that are capable of making more roots, and they will be so much stronger if you bury them very deep, or if you turn them sideways to give that long stem more chance to root. Your plant will be so much stronger, and you don't have to dig as deep of a hole that way. Smarter, not harder. So there's your sneak preview of step number 5, which is going to be planting for sure. And it's going to come in 2 parts. One day is going to be planting seeds. The other day is going to be planting the transplants. Since these little ones are not done hardening off yet, it's going to have to be a 2-parter. So that'll be coming very shortly. I'm not going to hit a red light, so I can't show you, but I will show you in part 1 of step 5. See you then.